And so tonight we enter week number 9. That's right, week number 9 of our Blueprint series. And this is a quiet turning point in the entire series. We've spent the last several weeks talking about building structure, alignment, rhythm, resilience, reflection, and finally integration. Now the question becomes, how do you hold all of that together without tipping into overwhelm or falling back into old habits? And that's what we're talking about here in this episode. The balance equation is not about living perfectly. Yeah, it's not. It's about learning how to distribute your energy wisely and then making micro adjustments when life shifts. And y'all, you know what? Let me put my hands up. Life is going to change. It shifts every single day. As a matter of fact, there's a saying that says the only constant is change. And this episode is practical. It's stabilizing. And it is essential if you want change to last. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications. Go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. And we are living, y'all. We're living limitless lives. I am so excited that you are here. Whatever platform you're joining us from, across all the social media platforms, you should be able to find us. Dwain Woode MD is what you will look for. And whatever city, town, state, village, country that you're joining us from, I'm so excited that you are here. A special shout out to our accelerator members who are out there. And a special shout out to, we had some folks who joined us last week from Atlanta, Berean. So we're glad that you're here. And any other place, if you saw us at your doctor's office, if you saw us in a community center, if someone sent a link to you in your newsletter, I want to welcome you to this space. We are excited as we move through working on our health. And that's what we're doing. Okay, let me go back and let me say, so what are we doing here? I want to help you to have the success in your health, just like you're having in other areas of your life. So you can show up for those important connections, those bonds, those important events, family, friends, community. And so you can enjoy the life that you have been pouring so much into. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust. You need a plan you can follow, and you need the determination and the support to keep showing up every single time. So good, glad that you are here as we move into our series. I want to go ahead and we're going to take a look at some numbers. As you know, I've got my Dexcom and my Freestyle Libre that are on right now, and we're going to take a look at those numbers and see what's been going on over the last several days. Let me do one thing over here really quickly so that we can take a look at what's been happening, because that is, after all, very important, because we want to be subjective in our talk about how we're feeling, but we also want to be objective, right? Because both of those go together. All the domains of health that we've been talking about, we want to know that we have some metrics that we can look at that are giving us the benefit for the things that we're doing here. And the other thing is, if you've not joined us yet, if you've not been to our YouTube channel, if you've not been walking with us, if you've not been lifting with us, if you've not been doing the strength training, you want to make sure that you are doing that, because everything that we do is designed to give you a space where you can just show up and you can just plug in. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, y'all. You can just show up and plug in, whether we're doing our fasting, our strength training, whether we're doing our balance bites, and of course here on the show. So I've got some things that we're going to take a look at. I've got my blood sugars as indicated by my monitors. And this right here, what you're looking at is my Freestyle Libre. And so Freestyle Libre says right now that my blood sugar is 70. And you'll see down, if you look at this graph down here, earlier, this is about 12 hours. Right? So if you look earlier, we were 156. That was right about 7 a.m. And then we dipped down. Well, right now it says that I'm 668, but we dipped down into the 120s, 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 went down into the 90s, and for most of today has stayed below. So right here, this is what, 100, right about 100. And then it dipped below that, and then for most of today, it's been riding below 100, sometimes dipping down to 70, and of course, as we got into the end of the day, dipping down into the 60s, which is where we are right now. If I look at one of our reports, and I love these reports because they give me lots of data. This one is my time in range, and we're going to be looking at these numbers right here. Okay, so we see an 88, says I'm in range 88% of the time. That is for the last 7 days. And down here, you'll see 12%. So 88% in range, 12% of lows. And that has to do with when I'm fasting. So when I'm fasting, my blood sugar is lower, as you guys have seen as you've been following us. Okay, and then going into the 90 days, and we like the 90-day view because 90 days is where we get our A1C from. So A1C is a marker of what's been going on with blood sugars over the last 90 days. So over the last 90 days, I've been 86% in range, 13% lows, and then 1% very low. And the very low is usually below 54. Looking at another graph, this is the average blood sugar, and you'll see this line right here. That's my average for the last 7 days. 14 days, 30 days, and then here is my 90-day average. And what I love about this is I look at these numbers down here and I could tell what's been going on with my blood sugar over different times of the day. Okay, and then I can make decisions about what to do at various times during the day. Now, let's go ahead and let's see what my Dexcom Clarity Report is saying, or Dexcom, my Dexcom G7. And as you know, the G7 tends to be higher than the Libre. And so what you're seeing right now, just a little while ago, my Libre said I was in the 60s, right? So 69, 70. And here it is, my Dexcom is saying that I'm 122. So that's a big difference. So we'll get to see what those numbers actually are, or another representation of those numbers when we take a look at what's going on with my monitors, my other monitors. So right now, if I scroll up and take a look at this, this is my 14-day average. You'll see there, my average is 116 with a glucose management indicator of 6.1. And then if I go to 90 days, you'll see my average 114 with a glucose management of 6.0. So that means if I were to get an A1C now, based on those numbers, I would expect that to be 6.0. Now I can't call it an A1C because it's a calculated number, but you get the idea. All right, so let's go ahead and I want to look over and see what my monitors are saying, and we're going to get a finger stick. And so I have my Contour and I have my Keto Mojo. So let's go back to this view. There we go. Let's go back to this one. All right, so I've got my Contour, I've got my Keto Mojo, and in order to do what we need to do, I've got to grab a strip for my Contour. So let's grab that out of this little strip container and get that into this device. And for this one, I'll need to grab a brown for the glucose. I'll need to grab a blue for the ketones. And then, of course, here is my Lancet. And as you know, I don't use a Lansing device, so I simply just grab this, and we'll see what we do with that in just a minute. In the meanwhile, let's go ahead and open up. This is my glucose strip. Get that into the Contour. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the ketones as well and just have that off to the side right there. And we'll come back to that in a minute. All right, so here's my Lancet, and I'm just going to take this, open it up, grab a finger, and ow, 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 ow. Ooh, that hurt a little bit more than I wanted. And let's see, I think I went a little bit too much to the tip. That's why it hurt. But it gave us a good drop, so that's okay. All right, so we got that one going. Let's get the Contour going. And So right now, the Keto Mojo says I'm 88 or 82. The Contour says I am 89. And let's go back here. And the Dexcom says right now 128. And the Libre says I'm 69. So which one do you believe, right? So go ahead and drop in the comments. Which one do you think you believe? So 82, 89, 69, and 122 with I think the odd man out really. And they're all, let's see. So if we say, so these are 80, 90, right? So, and they're all about 40 points off from each other. All right. So now let's go ahead and do this before this drop dries. Let's get that out and we'll get our ketone strip in and get that started. And go ahead and drop in the comments, what do you think my ketones are going to be? And we've not been fasting since we broke our fast last week. Let me get this one off the screen. And so what do you think those are going to be, by the way? Yeah, so there we go. 2-1 and low. And so remember, when we talk about ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. And so right now I'm in what's considered the normal range. Now what I didn't do, and maybe let's go ahead and do that really quickly and see if I can pull that into the app. And let's see if we can get it synced. It's been giving me some trouble recently, as you guys remember. Let's see what that does. Okay, yeah, and there, it did it. Yeah, so finish. And so, so looking at these numbers, all right, so looking at these numbers right here, and usually there's a number where it says infinity, and it just says infinity because it's so large, right? Because if you divide anything by 0, right, you get an infinity. And so that's what that's showing right now. So when we go through our fast and we begin producing ketones, then you'll see the one that says low, that will change, and we'll actually get a number there, and then the word that says infinity will show up with a number. So, okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and let's hop over and say hello to some of our community members, and I do see you guys out there, so I'm going to say hi real quick, and then we'll get into our conversation for today. And let's see. So I see Julian out there, and Julian says hi, Dr. and LLG, and then we see Steve is saying hello, friends. Hey, Steve, what's going on, man? Glad you're here. Julian saying hi, Steve. You know, I'm always excited when our community comes by and hangs out with us, because this is a big component of what we do, and we'll talk about that here in just a little while as we get into the rest of the show. But yeah, so as we are moving through the space, of being healthy, a big component of our success has to do with community. Okay, it has to do with community. So we are glad that you are out there. So one of the things that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and play our Move campaign promo, because the Move campaign is a big part of the Health Action Plan, right? So we fast on a regular basis during the week. We have our shows, right? Our mental mastery. We talk about balanced bites, and of course, Move metabolic optimization via exercise is a big part of that. So let's go ahead and let's take a listen to that right now. Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started. All right, so very excited about that campaign because that is a big component, as you heard, of what we do in our health space. So very excited when we can walk through that. So give me just a minute. I need to make a transition and make a change here and just something really quickly. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. Let's do this real quick. All right, y'all. So so we are back, and so we're talking about balance, the balance equation. That's our conversation for this episode, and the balance is an interesting concept that sometimes we misunderstand. Right. So balance is not a state. Balance is a strategy, in fact. And as we have talked about, how do we take the things that we've learned and how do we keep them going without becoming overwhelmed? And so that's the concept, right? So the balance, and you kind of see the graphic there of the rocks balancing on on the longer rock, and kind of think of it. Think of I guess I used to call it seesaw, a teeter totter, right? And so we want that the things in our lives are in such a space so that they are helping us move in the right direction. So how do you hold all of this together without it tipping into one direction or the other, or without becoming overwhelmed or falling back into old habits? And the big point that I want you to get, it is practical. It's not about living a perfect life, but it's about distributing your energies wisely and then making adjustments, the IDL in inner design loop, making micro adjustments when life shifts. And as we know, it doesn't matter how much you plan. It doesn't matter how much you try to anticipate, life is going to change. And it's essential if we want to change, if we want the change to last, the things that we do to last, we've got to be able to process and put those things in place. Okay. So what is balance? What is balance? And sometimes I don't like when people talk about things in the negative, right? So balance does not equal evenness. Balance does not equal evenness. So I said I don't like that, but we're going to use that. We're going to use the negative of that, right? So balance is dynamic, y'all. It's not symmetrical. It changes. Most people think balance means everything gets equal time and everything gets equal attention. When we talk about the domains of health, I got to put, if I do 30 minutes there, I got to do 30 minutes here. If I do 30 minutes here, I've got to do 30 minutes here. If I do 30 minutes here, I've got to do 30 minutes here. And so balance is not symmetrical. This is not balance. That's exhaustion, right? So in real life, one part of our life will always be a little heavier than another. A week of work may demand more focus that week. Health challenges may require more rest that week. A family situation may require more time that week. So the goal is not to have symmetry. The goal is to have stability. And stability comes from knowing where you are over distributed, knowing where you are under distributed, and what small adjustments you can make right now, today, even as we're talking, to bring yourself back into the center. That's the idea of balance. And the basis of balance, when we talk about balance, the basis of balance has to do with a couple of things. Okay? So balance is not equal, it's not even, but there are a couple of things that balance has to involve. And so what is the basis for balance? Balance is a combination of where your energies are distributed and the dynamic stability. And we'll kind of walk through those here in just a little bit. So where your energy goes is one, and then how you return to the center is the other. Those are the two things, the two components. And so what we're going to use is we're going to use a blend of those ideas to make balance practical. Okay? So distribution, once again, is the way you allocate your energy. Is the way you put, or where you put your energies across the different areas of your life. The question here is simple. Where is my energy currently going? And where is it not going? Right? So that's distribution. Distribution exposes imbalance. If you are able to accurately and honestly assess that, you will say, yeah, you know what? I'm putting a lot more energy over there than I probably need to. So distribution. And then number two, the dynamic stability is your ability to adjust, to make micro corrections so that you don't drift too far off center, because we will drift. I want you to think about walking. Every step is a tiny loss of balance. We did a class for some kids at our church, and one of the things we talked about was the skeletal structure. And do you know that every time you are walking, you're actually becoming unbalanced, and your body actually corrects you, and that's how you're able to move. So every step is a tiny loss of balance. So even as we're going through life, as things are normal, if we're going to keep moving forward, we will get out of balance. And in your life, dynamic stability means you don't wait until something is broken to adjust it. So as you're walking, you know you're off balance, and you don't wait until you plant down or you go face down. You are correcting because you want to remain upright and you want to remain stable. You respond early, you respond gently, and you respond consistently. Okay? So that's the basis. That is the basis of balance. So how does life get out of balance? Let's talk a little bit about that. And it has to do with those same places, right? So the basis of balance. We can talk about leaks, energy leaks, because life doesn't usually fall apart suddenly, right? If we're honest, it actually tilts slowly here and there. Here are, right? So it just goes. And so after a while, all of a sudden we find that we're leaning in one direction too much, more than the other, and we find ourselves out of balance. And so there are 4 general areas that we're going to talk about where where this types to happen. And the first one, and I'm going to put my hand up, is over-functioning in a particular area. This often looks like overworking, over-caring, over-committing, and over-focusing on one goal at the expense of others. Now, we're talking about a life that is fully functional. Now, there are times in your life where your focus is going to have to be lopsided. You're in school and you're working on a degree. You're working on a project. You're launching something. You guys are doing something big at work, right? So at those times, the work, the education, you're getting married, right? You're building a house. There are times in our lives where our focus is going to be off balance. That is by design in that moment. And it is for a season. But in general, when we are off balance like that, it is not because that's what we wanted. It drifted there. So when you overfunction in a particular area, what you're doing is you're taking away from something else. That's one of the things that my wife, when she talks to her clients, she says, hey, whatever you say yes to over here, you're saying no to something else on this side. The yin and the yang. Because there's only so much time, only so much resources, it's only so much that you have, and all of that has to be allocated. And so if I'm saying yes to something here, something else is not getting it. So number one, we overfunction in a particular area. Number two, we underfeed an area. So these are usually, right? You want to hear what they usually are? We usually underfeed our rest and recovery. We underfeed our personal time. We underfeed our mental health. And we underfeed relationships. Now notice what's going on in this particular area. All of the things I just mentioned are things that actually restore us. So we're out in the first one we talked about over processing in that area, or over functioning in that area. So we're pouring out, right? We're pouring out in that section. And here we are not restoring, we're not recovering. These are the things that bring us energy. And when we underfeed this, everything else has to work harder. So we overfunction, we underfeed, and then sometimes we ignore early signs of imbalance. Back to the story about walking. Your body and mind is whispering sometimes before it shouts. It knows something is off. Something is not quite where we want it to be. Something, so I can remember the body's always working on homeostasis. That is the process of getting back into sameness, into balance. And when something is out of balance, then the body will let you know. And it shows up like decision fatigue. It shows up like irritability. It shows up like feeling rushed, forgetfulness, loss of motivation. It shows up as eating, buffering when you're not hungry. It shows up as skipping small routines, right? That's the drift right there. It shows up as tension headaches. It shows up as stress. It shows up as higher blood sugars. It shows up as high blood pressure. It shows up as anxiety. It shows up as sleeplessness. And sometimes we get upset at the body. Like, I'm not sure what my body's doing. Well, the body is talking to you. It's saying, hey, dude, gal, I need you to pay attention. And if we're not careful, what ends up happening is that this area, all of these, we ignore the signs. We see them, but we wait until they've gotten so big and so massive that then it affects everything else. So these are warning signs. They're not flaws. And then we can drift or we become off balance by trying to fix the imbalance with intensity. Right? We see it now. Like, oh my goodness, look at that. I've not been sleeping. I've not been paying attention to this thing over here. I've not been doing that. And so what do? Oh yeah, here we go. We go hardcore, right? We go big. And we overcorrect. So we're like, okay, now 6 months, we're going to do 6 new habits this week. We're going to overhaul our entire schedule. We're going to stop eating for the next 100 days. We're going to go home and we're going to throw out every single thing in the house that we like because we're going to be healthy now. And we're going to promise that we are never going to eat that again. We're never going to do that again. We're never, right? So we make those things. And so I hear that, and I'm once again, I'm throwing my hands up because I've done it. And we make big promises that we can't sustain. Now, intensity will cause or create temporary change. Oh, yeah. Can intensity cause some changes? Oh, yeah. Come on. I know people, they go home because they've had an event, they've had a stroke, they've had a heart attack, they've had a TIA, they went to the hospital or they went to their doctor's office and they got some blood work and their A1C is high, cholesterol is high. Something happened that causes intensity. And they go home and they go hardcore. So intensity created a temporary change. But balance creates lasting change. And I've said to people before that, hey, what I want to do, and let me pause here to say this. I get excited when I see intensity. When I see people making changes, I get excited. And what I say to them is what I want to say to you is ride the intensity train, but capture it in structure. Because you're motivated, right? That motivation is high. There is fire there. There is drive there. There's determination there. What we want to do is we want to capture that and put it in a structured place so that when the intensity begins to wane, we have a process that we've created out of that intensity. We've learned something out of the intensity that we can take forward. So those are places where energy leaks. So one of the quiet strengths that we've been talking about is the inner design loop. Remember, the inner design loop is our micro, macro loop for making sustainable changes. We anchor, we align, and we adapt. And one of the strengths of the loop is that it keeps you grounded when life shifts. And so here's how it helps. Here's how it helps. Number one, anchor, right? So ask, what matters right now? Remember what our anchor is. Our anchor is the rhythm. That is the idea. That is the thing that drives us. That is the thing that holds us. It's kind of like an anchor in a ship. They drop the anchor, and as the water is moving and the currents are coming and the waves are blowing, that ship is staying because what? The anchor is there. So what's the anchor? What matters to you right now? Anchor prevents you from drifting into the urgent and away from the important. Sometimes we sacrifice the important because something becomes urgent. So what is your anchor? Maybe your anchor is rest. Maybe your anchor is this week making sure that you are structured. Maybe your anchor is protecting your eating windows. Maybe your anchor is making one decision easier tomorrow. Anchor creates clarity. When you know what you're about, when you know what's important to you, it's clear. So anchor. Number two is align. This is where distribution happens. Alignment asks, do my actions, the things I'm doing, do they match what matters to me? Are we going in the same direction? Are the choices I'm making taking me in that direction? Now, it doesn't ask whether that is a good choice. I want you to know the difference, right? So alignment doesn't say, is this choice a good choice? It says, is it the right choice for where I'm going? And I have a lot of those moments in my life. In fact, I was talking to some people yesterday about some things that I want to do, which are great ideas, great choices, it's not wrong, but is it taking me where I want to go? Does my calendar, question number two, does my calendar reflect my priorities? I have a good friend that says, show me your calendar and I'll tell you what's important to you. Alignment shows you exactly where imbalance is hiding. Because when you look at that calendar, you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't realize I was spending that much time there. But you are. I thought I was doing more over here, but you're not. So anchor, align, and then adapt. And here is where dynamic stability happens. Adaptation is the art of micro corrections. For example, ending work 10 minutes earlier so that you can do whatever it is you want to do. And when I say whatever it is you want to do, whatever that anchor is, whatever you're going for, ending 10 minutes early so that my behavior, it coincides with that. Taking a walk before dinner, micro adjustments. Putting boundaries back into place. Right? An adaptation. Decluttering one small area. Now, recently I decluttered here. Right? So that when things are cluttered, of course, your mind is caught up in all that. And we think it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, I can work anywhere. Imagine the power of clarity that comes when your space is also arranged in a way that's decluttered and is conducive for work. So the inner design loop, we anchor, we align, and then we adapt. Anchor, align, and adapt. So let's talk a little bit about the daily equation. And the daily equation, the daily balance equation, I guess I should call it, is this idea of realignment on demand. This is the tool that I want you to use this week. Simple. We'll kind of walk through it. And it starts out with a daily check-in. 3 simple questions. Question 1, what's heavy today? Number 1. This identifies where distribution is distorted. What seems heavy today? What's been going on today that is weighing on me? That took a lot of my energy, that took a lot of my time. Number 2, what's hungry today? Which area needs attention? So number 1, which is where am I distributing my time and my resources? I keep saying time, but resources. Which area needs attention? Is it rest? Is it movement? Is it planning? Is it mental quietness? Is it my food? Is it my, right? Which area needs my attention? Is it my relationship, by the way? And what is one small adjustment I can make? Notice I said small adjustment. This prevents overcorrection and encourages you to be dynamically stable, meaning that you are iteratively continuing to look at this. It's not that I'm going to sit down today and I'm going to just scrap everything and start over from scratch. I'm making small micro adjustments that are sustainable over time so that I can be successful. Anybody can do anything for a short period of time. That intensity, it can drive you to do some amazing things. The question is not, can you do it? The question is, can you maintain it? Can it be sustained? That's where people lose their way. If you believe the numbers, most people who are interested in health try a diet, a weight loss process, a cleanse, a new thing 2 to 3 times a year. We start in January. Hey, New Year's resolution. I'm going to do X. Boom. I'm going to start walking. I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to go to bed on time. I'm going to spend time with my family. I'm going to spend time with my spouse. I'm going to get up early, right? So we start out, boom. And by the end of February, we've fallen. I'm going to lose weight. And a lot of people lose weight in those first days. But by February, it starts coming back. So the initiation is not the problem. In fact, getting some success is not the problem. It is the maintenance. It is the consistency. It is how do we keep it going? That's the problem. So what feels heavy today? So where am I distributing my time? Number 2, what's hungry today? What wants more time? What wants more resources? And what's one small adjustment I can make that prevents overcorrection and encourages me to be stable, be dynamically stable? You don't need a perfect schedule. You need responsive adjustments. The daily balance equation. And then let's talk about the heart of balance. Yeah, what do you think the heart of balance is? The heart of balance is really these micro adjustments. Because micro adjustments are better than big overhauls. I want you to think about an airplane or a vehicle, any kind of vehicle actually, for that matter. And if you are heading somewhere and you're off course, it's easier to make those adjustments as you go because it's just a little degree here, it's an angle there, it's a little bit shift here, right? But if you're heading down the road and you're on the water or you're in the air, and all of a sudden you're supposed to be over here, but you're over here, the amount of energy and the amount of resources and the amount of correction that you've got to make at that point to get there is huge, and sometimes causes dramatic damage because we try to do these major overhauls. So small shifts is my son had a what was that game, by the way? It was a game that he played on my phone when I was a kid, when he was very little, and I think it was called Fly. So it was an airplane thing, and you had to take off, and you had to fly to a particular location, and you had to land. Okay, and so often what I saw him doing is he would like take off, zoom, and he's flying, and then he would get like weird things, and then he'd try to turn. And I said, hey man, why don't you, as you're going, why don't you just adjust on your way? But most people wait until things are way off course before making a correction. But balance is maintained through early, gentle adjustments. So here's some examples. So shortening a task that's taking too much of your day. Shortening a task that's taking too much of your day. Whatever it is, right? And we're talking about health, obviously, but other things other than health in the health space affect health. So your job, your gardening, hanging out in the garage with your vehicle, right? Your sports person. Spending time watching, come on, I know I'm going to get flack for this. Spending time watching your favorite sport. Scrolling. Emailing. It's taking too much of your day. It's distracting you, shortening that. Right-sizing it. That's a phrase that came up, with companies. They're right-sizing. Notice, not canceling it, but right-sizing it. Nobody says that you can't do some of what you are doing, but make it appropriate. So number one, shortening a task or decreasing a task that's taking too much of your day. Number two, putting a boundary back into place. Not a new boundary, but something that you've already had in space. Bedtime. What you're going to eat, what you're going to buy, what you're not going to bring in the house. I'm not going to stay up late. What are those boundaries that you already have? And many of us have them already. It's just reinstituting them. And not everything, but one, putting a boundary back in place. And then choosing the simplest version of a routine. What is your minimum? I was talking to someone recently on a trip, and they were telling me, when they get off course. Let me just say it that way. For whatever reason. Because, we're traveling, so I don't have my exercise equipment, or I'm out visiting somebody, and so I don't have the ability to create my own meals. And so I said, what's the minimum in those areas that keep you going, keep you on task until you get back home? So for exercise, what's your minimum? What's the minimum that you can do that keeps you in the routine? But often what we do is I'll take that, I'll stop doing that until I get home. And there is power, y'all, in momentum and routine. When you break momentum, getting back into momentum or getting that back, getting that energy, getting that drive back is hard. That's why when someone falls off after the intensity, after that big push, it's hard to get back on that. You know why? Because you've expended so much energy. And the power of momentum comes from the buildup that is there. And for you to get that buildup again is hard, because the thing that happened that caused the momentum is gone. And many of us, we don't want that to happen again, whatever it was. We don't want to have another heart attack to build up momentum. We don't want to have another stroke. We don't want that to happen again, because sometimes that's how the momentum was built. So what's the simplest? What's the smallest? What's the least? What is the minimum that you can do to maintain routine rather than abandoning it? And then take one step towards equilibrium. Take one step towards equilibrium. So we're talking about how we do micro adjustments, right? Micro adjustments. So not 10 steps, not perfection, just in the direction. People say to me all the time, hey, I'm going to go buy a gym membership, and I'm trying to change my schedule so that I can get there. And I got a couple of friends that I've been talking to about coming out with me. And so I asked them, I said, well, when are you getting the gym membership? And have you talked to the friends yet? Have you changed your schedule yet? Notice all the things that they're putting in place to be able to do what they want to do. How about forget all of that? Get up, walk down the driveway to the mailbox, and come back. People say to me, well, that's not going to do anything. I said, it's more than you are currently doing. Whatever number of steps that is. 100 steps, 200 steps, I don't know. Depending on where you live, how far your driveway is. I mean, how far your mailbox is. But it's more than you're currently doing. One step towards equilibrium. Not 10, not perfection, just in that direction. And then reduce friction in one area that's currently underfed. If rest is starving, go to bed 10 minutes early. Not an hour early, not an hour and a half early. 10 minutes. And we say, well, 10 minutes is not going to make a difference. It is 10 minutes more than you're currently doing. If movement is starving, walk 5 minutes after lunch. Get up, and I will get up at the end of lunch, and I'll walk down the stairs. I don't walk back up, but that's a whole nother story. Sometimes I do. Because it is a consciousness that says, hey, I've been in here the whole time. Let me do something differently. If planning is starving, write tomorrow's top two tasks. Notice what we're doing is we are making small adjustments. We're reducing the friction in those areas. Micro adjustments prevent collapse. The key for your week to not unravel is micro adjustments. And they preserve momentum without exhausting your willpower. And so how do we get back to the center? And here's the key. We need to get back to the center sooner than we currently are. Recovery is balance. Returning to the center is not about perfection. It's about timing. The sooner you return to the center, the less damage you accumulate. The sooner you return to the center, the more momentum you bring with you. The sooner you get back to the center, the less drag, the less friction there is. The sooner you get back to the center, the better it is. The longer you wait, the more chances you have of crashing and burning. People lose balance not because they drift, right? Everybody drifts. It's going to happen. Life is happening, y'all. Everybody's going to drift. You are going to drift. If you've not drifted yet, it's coming. So drifting is not the issue. They lose balance because they ignore the drift until it becomes too big to correct gracefully. Back to my idea about the ship. Because now you got to almost capsize the ship to get it to turn. Getting back sooner means that you don't wait until burnout. It means that you don't wait until the week is lost, or the day is lost, or the month is lost. You don't wait until the habit is broken and a new habit is built. You correct gently, quickly, without judgment. You're not a bad person because you drifted. Everybody drifts. So returning to the center soon, returning to the center is balance. So how does imbalance change your decision making? So imbalance is equal to decision distortion. Let's talk about how this happens. And we rarely connect this. Our decision capacity, the decision change when you're out of balance. And we don't change for the better. What happens is we tend to drift in the direction we don't want to go. The brain moves into urgency mode. Urgency is not clarity. Urgency produces quick decisions, impulsive choices, emotional eating, and abandoning routines, because we just got to get it done, right? Because we're in urgent mode. We're hyper vigilant. This is not a discipline problem. It's a balance problem. Number one, your brain moves into urgency mode. Number two, your working memory gets crowded. When too much energy is being pulled into one particular area, your brain has less space to think clearly. That's why you forget small things. That's why tasks feel bigger than they are. That's why you feel behind even when you're not behind. Because things are magnified because the brain's capacity to hold decreases because it's crowded now with all these other things. You lose access to long-term thinking when we're off balance. And the balance, getting back into balance, restores your ability to think beyond the moment, beyond right now. When we are off balance and everything is urgent, it is an emergency and we don't want to be in this space. We don't have the ability to think about here and right now. And so we lose the ability to process this, whatever's happening, and we can't see how the choices we're making, lead into the long term. You see how that happened? So we've damaged the future because of this right here, because of our inability to process. When we're off balance, we misinterpret normal feelings as problems. Everything is hyper vigilant. Fatigue feels like failure. Hunger feels like an emergency. Frustration feels like regression. Oh, I've lost. I can't do anything. Right? So we get into our heads. But when balance returns, perspective returns. So we're talking about why health is an issue. We're talking about why we can't lose weight, why our blood pressure is high, why our cholesterol remains high, why our blood sugars remain high, why we can't get metabolically better, because we're off balance. And then your threshold for stress goes down. You can't handle stuff. Small things feel heavier. You're more irritable with things that you normally would be okay with. Tasks take more emotional effort. Decisions feel costly. Balance is not just a pleasant life condition. Balance is a cognitive advantage. So imbalance brings decision fatigue, decision distortion. So here's a practical rule that I want you guys to get. Right? The 3-to-1 rule balance. 3 distributions and 1 adjustment. So this week I want you to try it, okay? Let's walk through it together. So number one at the start of and the end of each day, at the start and the end of each day, when we've talked about book ending, right? So you have a process for the morning, you have a process for the evening. Start, and it doesn't have to take a long time. I want you to name 3 areas that are doing well. Hey, well, I'm doing well with my food, I'm doing well with my activity, I'm doing well with my relationship, whatever it is. So name 3 areas. They're not perfect, but they are functioning. They're working. Then I want you to name 1 place, 1 other thing. So we've named those 3 that they're working well, and I want you to name 1 thing that needs attention. Not 5, not 10, just 1. And then I want you to choose 1 micro adjustments, as we've been talking about, micro changes to support that one. Hey, these things are going great right here. So, man, I got that. Right? They're not perfect, but they're good. And then this one over here, okay, this needs help. This needs some support. And what's 1 small thing you can do to change that to begin heading it in the right direction? You're not trying to correct it overnight. You're not trying to correct it tomorrow. Well, what's 1 small adjustment you can make that heads that in the right direction? That prevents you from becoming overwhelmed. It prevents overcorrection. And it strengthens your dynamic stability. Okay? That's the idea there. So the 3-to-1 balance rule. So let's bring it home. So we're talking about blueprints, right? Blueprints are built. These are the instructions for building. And so balance is built. It's not found. You don't just come up on balance. Balance is not a state you achieve. It is a strategy you use. Like, I'm in balance, so I'm good now. No, it is a strategy. Balance is built from wise distribution. Where am I putting my energy? Early detection. Hey, I notice this is drifting. Micro adjustments, not big overhauls. And then returning to the center gently and early. Gentle course correction. When you practice balance consistently, your decisions become clearer, your routines become easier, your health becomes more stable. And when you feel balanced, you stay consistent for longer. Longer. And that's ultimately what we want. We want the changes that we're making. We want the things that are happening, the things that we have learned. We don't just want it for today or tomorrow. We want this to be something that is at the course of our life now. This is now who we are. That's the big takeaway from balance. So, what's some takeaways that I want you to get? Number 1, balance is stability, not perfection. We're not looking for you to be perfect. We're not looking we're looking for stability. We're looking for consistency. Number 2, notice the imbalance early. Your body is going to talk to you. The body's going to give you signs. The body's going to give you signals. You've got to be attuned to listening to that, which means you've got to take time. And you've got to have a process for doing that. Bookending, for example, right? Beginning of the day, end of the day, the inner design loop. All of those are ways Those are metrics. Those are indicators that you can use to be able to check yourself. And then number 3, use micro adjustments. What did I say? Micro adjustments to return to the center. We don't want to have big, gigantic course corrections. This week is not about perfection. This episode is not about perfection. It's about practicing the gentle art of staying centered. Balance is not something you wait for. Balance is something you practice. Balance is something you build. And that's at the heart of Blueprints. Because we want to know, how do we take the stuff that we're learning? How do we put it in place? And how do we keep going? Because that allows me to be around, to show up for the important people, the important things in my life when I'm on balance. That's the balance equation. We'll continue talking more about Blueprints because we want to be healthy and we want to be around for a long time for our lives, for our family, for our friends, and our community. Stay by. We'll be back. Hey, y'all. Man, balance. And I have to admit that I'm guilty of sometimes not paying attention, right, to this particular area. Because it's like, man, I'm grinding, I'm going, I'm at it. And that's the beauty of having a system, because the system helps you to stay corrected. Because sometimes we get off balance and we don't realize it because we don't have a way of checking ourselves. Right? That's that 3-to-1 daily balance equation. All right, so let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members. Let's see who we got out there. So let's go back over here. Give me just a second. Let's do this. We said hi to Gian. We said hello to Steve. Let's see. Steve says I'm eating. Let's do here. Let's go right this one. Steve says, great job. Get rid of that. Like Steve was talking to Gian, he says, great job. Oh, Gian is saying, great job, Steve. What time is it there? So just exchanging. It's 10 o'clock on Tuesday is what Gian is saying. Steve's saying 7:30. That was earlier. And Gian is saying, let's see, what's she saying? I was considering doing a 48-hour fast. I tried to do one 48-hour fast a week. So Steve is talking about that. Gian says same here. Steve says that's a good plan. And then I see, let's jump down here. Okay, here we are. So Jennifer, well, howdy y'all, just getting here. Say, Jennifer, what's up? Gian says, hi, Jennifer. Jennifer says, hour 23. Good for you. Hour 23 on a 2-day fast. I like it. Gian says, great. This is the most difficult time for me. Hard to keep going. So Jennifer says hour 23. And Jennifer, yeah, that's that transition, right? That transition zone that we talk about. Making sure that you are hydrating, that you're getting rest. I mean, all the things I know, and you can say, I know that. All the things we talk about. Making sure you're getting rest, making sure you're hydrated, making sure that you are you've done some electrolytes also, and then of course making sure that you're doing some things to distract you. That's important. Get some small, gentle activity, right? You don't have to go jogging or running and just walking. And I know you know where you are, Jennifer. I know you're out there. Is it time to go warm up the cows? Is that? Jennifer Gion says, great. Okay, we talked about that. Aim 48 hours fast. Jennifer says, thank you. So she says, yes, I'm aiming for 48-hour fast. Says, great. 48-hour fast starts after my OMED today. It's my 15th week. So this is Gion's 15th week of fasting 48 hours. Hey, Gion, we give you a hand clap and some music. Okay, so that, so everybody. So Jennifer, congratulations. Steve, congratulations. Gion, congratulations on the fast. And if you're out there and you are fasting, are you planning to fast? Join us as we do our check-in that's coming up tomorrow. Of course, we'll be starting our fast at that time. All right, so y'all, so we are excited because, as we always say, everything we do is based on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, we encourage. We educate with the podcast, with the blogs, with the shows that we're on, that we do. We empower with the show, with the tools that we're learning, right? So all the tools, the Blueprint series, the entire series is a tool. We did Play Your Own Game. We did Finishing Strong. We did the Health Action Plan. So all of those are tools that we're learning so you can put into practice the things that we've done. Remember, the Health Action Plan is an action. There's a word in there, action. It is theory until you infuse it with your behavior. It's a Health Action Plan. And then we encourage with this amazing community that you are a part of. We are so glad that you are here as we continue moving through our health space. And when you show up, y'all, don't show up and just keep everything to yourself. I want you to be an ambassador for health in your families, your communities, your doctor's office, your churches, your neighborhoods, because there are so many people who are currently struggling with metabolic disease and chronic illnesses, and you can say to them, hey, we can be better. We can do something different. That's the concept of the Health Action Plan. That's the limitless living method. It says I'm showing up with my best self, my best health, my best plans, and I'm going to be successful. I'm not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to deter me. And that you can share with people to let them know that they can make a difference. Awesome. All right, so we will go through the rest of this week, y'all. We're talking about balance, and we will have our fasting starting tomorrow. Come by and see what I eat for the last time before I get into the fast. We'll have our pop-ups on Wednesday and Thursday at 24 and 48 hours respectively. We'll do our check-ins at night, so tomorrow evening. Not tomorrow, but Wednesday evening, we'll have our check-in at 56 hours. Thursday, we'll have, I get those numbers wrong. Okay, Wednesday, we'll have our check-in at 33 hours. On Thursday, we'll have our check-in at 56 hours. And then, of course, on Friday, we do our complete review of fasting. That's our Fasting 101 masterclass on how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast, and then how to break the fast. And you get to see what I eat for the first time as we get out of that fast for 72 hours. Okay, so make sure you join us, and then we'll continue through the rest of the week. Video from the vault on Saturday at 9 p.m. This Week in Review, Sunday morning at 6 a.m. right here on the channel. And then we'll be right back next week for Dwain Woode, MD Live. If you're in our Accelerator community, you'll have that link coming up here in just a minute. And then those of you who are in our YouTube community, you will see that after the show coming up. So just pay attention to that. Make sure you are joining us for our MOVE campaign. Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. We've talked about our schedule coming up over the next couple of weeks. So our last show for the year will be December the 22nd, and our first show for the new year will be on the 5th. I think that's the date, the 5th of January. There will be something in the space between those dates, right? So this won't be live, but come on by, hang out with us as we continue through the rest of this year. This has been an amazing year of transformation and change, and Limitless Living says that, hey, I'm coming with all I got. My best self, my best health, my best plans. So make sure you join us. Thank you for being here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. I want you to have success in your health, just like you're having success in other areas of your life. So you can show up for those important events and people in your family or in your lives, your family, your friends, your community, and so you can enjoy the dreams that you've been pouring into. You don't need superhuman strength. What you need is a strategy you can trust. You need a plan you can follow, and you need the support, and you need the determination to keep showing up every single time. Hey, let's listen to that Move campaign, and then we'll be out of here. Good night, everybody. Welcome to Move, metabolic optimization via exercise. This isn't just about workouts. It's about moving your body, moving your habits, and moving your life forward. Each episode builds consistency, strength, and resilience step by step. I'm Dr. Dwain Woode, and together we're writing the story of health, transformation, and limitless living. This is Move. Let's get started.